Everybody. I'm here at the European Commission in Brussels at the Directorate General for Research and Innovation, and it's a rather gloomy day in Brussels. Nothing special to report from over here, except that I've been part of a sounding board put together by the Commission that is looking into the report that the Commission issues every year on the state of innovation in the EU space. Now, fascinating findings in this report. It'll be out in February next year, more or less, but some of the preliminary findings point to a few developments. One, that innovation is becoming far more complex, so it's much harder to understand and predict because it's now made up of changes in different fields of technology that by converging produce exponential change. So the complexity of innovation is increasing. Two, and I thought this was fascinating and some of the most interesting findings in the report, top companies, large companies, this is the top 1% of companies, have seen very rapid productivity growth. They invest in innovation and technology and training of their staff, much more so than laggard companies. Laggard companies falling behind, say, in the last 10 years by about 30% in productivity compared to top companies. And the third is also the velocity of innovation. And if you look at how innovative companies are set up and they grow and they take over traditional companies, the rate of this process has really increased over the last few years. Also, we've been having discussions here about the aggregate implications of this change. What does this mean for work, for jobs, for inequality? A lot of discussion on the hollowing out of the middle of the job distribution. So we've seen a lot of growth in Europe of high-paying, sophisticated, high-skills demanding jobs, and also on the low-paying, low-skill side of the spectrum, the middle has been hollowing out. Some of us have expressed a lot of concern about this, the political economy of this process, the erosion of our middle class. It's also putting a lot of premium on education, by the way. Highly educated people actually accessing those high-paying jobs, and the middle, again, really falling through, most of the time going down to low-paying jobs, and then poorly educated people actually falling off completely the scale. And we started to see very high levels of structural unemployment for low-educated people, etc. So, fascinating report. It'll be out next year, and starting to hint at the systemic implications of the transformation we're seeing in our system, with now productivity not being the mantra, because you can have increases in productivity and others, but still having to deal with precariousness and the social implications of change. So that's all from me from Brussels, and have fun, and I'll reconnect in a couple of days from Belgrade, which is where I'm flying off to right now. Bye-bye.